Good evening and welcome to a regular meeting of the Ulysses Town Board. I will call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. on October 14th, 2025. May we please have a roll call?
You may. Mr. Boggs.
Present.
Ms. Weatherby.
Present.
Ms. Olson.
Present.
Mr. Goldman.
Present.
Ms. Bouchard. Present.
Great. We have an agenda that was posted on Friday. So that hasn't changed since then. Are there any alterations or changes to the agenda? If not, I accept a motion to approve.
Move to approve. As
Second.
amended.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. That brings us to privilege floor. We will go, just sorry, getting my timer on. Any member of the public is welcome to up to 3 minutes. And I go back and forth in person and online. So please go ahead.
Okay, can I come up here?
Of course, yeah.
See the online people. So I'm Nancy Cusimano, 5011 Bryce Road, guest heard from me before. I sent you an email on Friday, hoping that you would have a chance to look at it, because the timeline is tomorrow. The Lansing Town Board meeting is tomorrow. So I don't know if you had a chance to look at it and or react to it. Yes, no, yeah. So I'll read you that real quick, and then I'm gonna read the a little more info about TerraWolf. As you may be aware, the town of Lansing will be voting this Wednesday, 10:15, on a moratorium on any large-scale development to the town of Lansing until the town has a chance to update its zoning laws. The town was recently awarded a grant for this purpose and is working towards a zoning update. The moratorium would delay any large-scale proposals until the task is complete. With the update being that the square footage would be limited to 3,000 square feet, not 5,500 square feet, which is what it says in the link that I sent you guys. As you may know, the elephant in the room is the AI data center proposed for the shuttered power plant directly across the lake from us. There's also a petition being circulated by Seneca Lake Guardian that you would have needed to have signed today, so it might be too late for that. I would ask that all of you have time. If you have time before the Town of Lansing Board meeting tomorrow, please write letters of support to the Town of Lansing Board and its members for this moratorium. The data center has the potential to affect the entire county with higher electric costs. The sounds of the center would also likely be heard on this side of the lake, just two things to consider. So here's what we know about TerraWolf, and this is from the Cayuga, I'm not sure if this is Cayuga Lake or Seneca Lake water network. TerraWolf, a major Bitcoin mining operation with questionable financials, has just signed an 80-year lease with the owners of the old Milliken Station power plant along the shores of Cayuga Lake to build a 400 megawatt data center, often code for crypto mining Bitcoin. Meanwhile, the Town Board of Lansing has been in the process of revising its zoning and has hired a consultant to assist with the process. As part of the process, planning to vote on a moratorium and any large-scale industrial development in the town while they revise the regs, which is entirely within the town's legal limit. In comes TerraWolf, who is now threatening to sue the town for lawfully adopting this moratorium, insisting that it is targeting their project. It is not. This bullying tactic, among other actions right out of a $1 billion corporate playbook, has the town waffling in fear of adopting its moratorium. Well, the impacts of this proposal, for which no application has yet been submitted, could be dire, not only for the town, but also for Cayuga Lake, the region, our electrical grid stability, our electric bill rates, am I up for time? Our ability to meet our climate goals and the community character of the Finger Lakes region. Very few permanent jobs would be created since the machinery is fully automated. Our aim is to support the town in its decision and adopt the planned moratorium while it revises its zoning and help them understand that this decision is vital, not only for the town, but for the Finger Lakes neighbors.
Wow, perfect timing. Couldn't have done it better.
Great. You want this further?
Thank you.
Great. You, Judy, thank you so much. I hope you had the chance to write or can do it before tomorrow.
Thank you. Is there anybody online who wishes to address the town board? Just pop off video or wave your hand. Okay. Anybody else in person who wishes to address the town board? Thank you. Always good to hear from the public. If anybody has any follow-up questions on that, I did personally sign on to a letter. Support, I spoke to the, about a week and a half ago, I spoke to the, Lansing Town Supervisor. And it sounded to me like the moratorium consideration had been thought for a while. And it is a normal, I'm a planner, it's a normal part of the process to do. It's up to individual town board members if they are interested in weighing in at all, but I did individually because it's a recognized tool that communities have, especially under home rule. So. Okay, that brings us to municipal board and staff reports, and I see Legislator Corman is able to join us.
Hi there, good to see folks, at least virtually tonight. So we are working on the county budget, so that's taken up most of my time the last month and a half, 2 months. And so here's where we are now. We're done with the big budget meetings. And right now, as far as the tax levy for property taxes, we're at 56,713,000, and which would be an increase of 3.31% of our tax levy. And the median home owner would see a tax increase for 2026 of $20.08. So we're not done yet. We have several other meetings where we might add or subtract things to the budget, but I just wanted to let you know where we're at right now. And we do have a budget hearing coming up on October 28th at 5:30. If people want to give their feedback, where we are so far on the budget is online. You can look on the Tompkins County website. And so we appreciate feedback. You can either come in person to the legislature, you can contact one of our clerks to get a link to it. There's a link online too at the county website. You can also send in comments too. And of course, folks can always contact me. A couple of the things in the budget, we did add in an extra $500,000 for TCAT support. That's the Tompkins Consolidated Area Transit. That's the bus system. And so we're hoping that the other underwriters, which are the City of Ithaca and Cornell, also pass that, because we all have to do it at the same time. We have to, everybody has to chip in the same amount. So we've approved it. I don't know if the city's approved it, and I haven't heard anything about Cornell yet. We also added 2 corrections officers at the jail because of a requirement of state law and an audit they did there. We added 1 911 dispatcher. And there's a lot more of additions and subtractions, but I'm just wanted to highlight a few things there. And we opened Code Blue season, which folks might remember, that's for when the temperature drops below freezing with windshield overnight. And so far, I've only heard of one person that's taken advantage of that. And right now, we're utilizing hotels, but we will have a Code Blue shelter up probably within probably 30 days. And that'll be at the Old Found site on Cherry Street, a building that we purchased. That is eventually going to be the site of our regular shelter also. And I think those are the biggest highlights I have right now. Oh, I also did sign on to a letter from Anna Kellis supporting the town of Lansing with their moratorium.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Annie? Well, congratulations on another budget season, which is no small amount of work when you're dealing with as many zeros as are in the county budget.
Thank you.
We have a much smaller budget, but no less important in its own right, in just different ways. Do we have other board members who wish to make any reports tonight? Comp plan update maybe?
Sure. So we are really hitting the ground running and trying to wrap things up on the comp plan over the next couple of months, before the end of the new year, or before the end of the year, before the new year. We had an open house last Monday, and we had 7 members of the public participate and provide comments on the current policies and goals that we have presented in the comp plan. We had some good discussions with those folks that came, got some insights on what they were thinking or what they were looking for. So, again, I would encourage anybody to provide comments to the comp plan. You can provide comments all the way until we officially adopt the plan. So when we're having public hearings, you can email the planner or Carissa at the town clerk's email address. We really do want to get folks' input on the comp plan. But as of right now, the comp plan steering committee is going to meet in 2 weeks, and we should have a draft of the full entire report or the full report in one document at that time. And the goal would be on the 5th, on our meeting on the November 5th, have a recommendation for the town board to start thinking about and take over at our next meeting, which would be the 12th. So we would still have to do seeker and all the public notices and then required review periods with all the different agencies, including ags and markets. So it's gonna be a tight time frame to get this done by the end of the year. So we'll probably know in the next couple of weeks whether that's actually feasible. If not, we might have to bring some thoughts to the town board for considerations of what steps might be next. So.
Any questions for Liz? Any updates? From anybody else?
Youth Commission, we had a meeting last week.
Mhm.
Yes, it was last week.
We did have a meeting last week.
I don't know if there was really anything big. We got the library application, but we'd already assumed a flat level of funding towards the library from the Youth Commission as we had last year, so. Nothing changes in terms of the requested budget from the Youth Commission to the town. And we're starting the youth programs with the high school, kind of the civics group. Rachel's really kicking off this week and next week, so should get some feedback on focus on how many people they have. She's hoping for 12. Did I remember that correctly?
8 to 12.
8 to 12. The youth programs with Lucky are going well. The church across the street has been great to work with, using the extra space that they're offering for middle school kids, mostly on Wednesdays after school. There's about 10 to 12 kids that have been taking advantage of that and kind of having some free space to just be a middle school kid.
Cooking class is going well. That's on Mondays.
Yep.
That's full.
Basketball and all the winter sport registration should be opening up soon.
November 1st, most likely.
Yeah, and I know Will is trying his best to manage the crazy scheduling that is indoor space in the schools. So I know he's working a lot on that.
We had a Three Falls regular meeting. Yep. Yes, regular meeting. And then the open house was really well attended. Over 500 people so far have taken the survey on Camp Barton. So it's been really good. Or the future Camp Barton, TBD State Park, former Camp Barton. And so the public's been really engaged. There was a really great turnout at the farmer's market on the 20, I think it was the 20, not the 24th, 28th, 27th. It was that last weekend in September, Saturday. There was a very, very solid Ulysses turnout, so that was really good. I think we got credit for having the most people there, village residents too. And then we're working with Fisher. We had a meeting last Thursday with Fisher, who's doing the master plan to kind of go over the community feedback from that event. And we don't yet have the community feedback on the survey because it's still open. Just about to close though, I think the end of this week. And then yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Can
Three
you
Falls
touch on
related.
that $30,000 payment for the Three Falls? Was it a membership, I think it said?
Yeah, it was budgeted for. That's the allocation we put in the 2025 budget.
What's it for, though?
It funds Three Falls until we are able to drive revenue, and those are the payments that as revenue is captured, get paid back to the municipality.
So it's sort of like a loan.
Yeah, but it's not considered, oh no, it's not considered a loan, but it functions as a loan, yes.
For the other two municipalities paying the same? No.
Everybody's been charged the same amount, whether or not all three will do it. The village has it budgeted to pay the same amount we are.
If they don't pay, then they become a non-voting member.
We currently only have 2 Class A members. The third member is deficient for 2024 by about $44,000. And so they lost their voting status until that's paid. So
What if we become the only voting member?
Then we'll have to reconsider, but we won't.
they won't.
I don't think the village
The
That's,
village is
yeah.
very good.
is highly supportive from what I understand.
so. Then the municipality, if the one municipality becomes the only Class A member, then those are the Class A members. I mean, it's.
They'll get all the revenue.
Yeah.
all
No,
the
so the village,
expenses.
no, the municipalities don't make any revenue. We can make our money back that we put invest, but we will not derive revenue from Camp Hardin or from the
Oh, okay,
LDC.
so any profits will be set aside for the camp.
So the way it works is actually per our licensing agreement, true profits are returned to New York State because it's a New York State park. However, in our licensing agreement, we are allowed to capture profits and put them into capital improvements and capital funds and reserves and things like that. So in fact, I think it's many, many, many years off before we're in a profit model, and I mean decades off potentially. We're in a profit model where we're actually returning money to New York State, but it is New York State property. So, but it's set up so that we can, as profits are made, they can be returned to the communities that invested in them. And that's why we maintain the financial records on who put in what. And then, other profits on top of that can be invested in the property itself. That's what's happening there. We should have the master plan finalized by the end of the year. So it's on track to do that. It's a pretty aggressive timeline, but that's what our agreement stipulates. Anything else for the good of the order for updates before we go into old business?
Oh, the consortium. The health consortium.
Oh,
It was a
yes.
Wonderful 18% increase.
Thank you for going to that meeting.
Yeah,
Well, I was out of town.
nice space, the convention center.
Is it?
Yeah,
I actually have a conference there in a couple weeks.
but there are a lot of claims. And I did. So that the cushion that was in there went down quite a bit, so they have to replenish funds, which is really 18%, I think.
Is there any discussion about
Well, Peter,
the healthcare industry? Is that
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
bigger than just?
it's
than
it's
just
the whole
us.
industry, it isn't us.
Right.
I mean, it's in chaos.
There's probably gonna be a lot of unknowns still for some time.
Well, a beautiful space and a lousy amount of money,
That's
but I guess that's where we are. Well, thank you for doing that. Okay, so next up is old business. We currently have, it's currently the tentative budget for 2026. And Blixie's on. Would you mind making Blixie big? Thank you. I can see Blixie.
Hello.
Hey, Blixie. So we have in the resolution, we have the adoption of the 2026 preliminary budget. We're not adopting the final budget, but we're turning it from the tentative budget into a preliminary budget and setting a public hearing for October 28th. So I know you had a chance to talk to Blixie. Town board we had a in-person with Blixie at our last town board meeting. We had 3 line by lines in early September. The preliminary budget would stay under the tax levy. I'm sorry, it would stay under the tax cap. And result in a 1.55% tax rate increase for town residents outside the village of Trumansburg. And a 3.08 tax rate decrease for village of Trumansburg residents. Blixie, anything else you wanted to flag? We had the one thing that we didn't have, so we couldn't set the public hearing last time, was the units of water for one of the water districts. Is there anything else you want to flag? I don't think anything else has changed.
No, I have the preliminary budget document ready and I've updated the units from data Carissa provided, but the actual budget itself hasn't changed at all since the last board meeting when we reviewed it.
I was cautiously optimistic that Blixie did not need to drive in from Newfield. So let's see if I gambled correctly. It's the only gambling I do at town hall is on whether or not a staff needs to be present person. Any questions for Blixie before we move to vote on this?
Look, didn't we go over one thing that we said should be in there? From our meeting?
One of the things that came up when I was talking with Rich was about our B fund and the fund balance there, and maybe reevaluating our fund balance policy to allow for some additional funds that might be set aside for things that are kind of out of our control, since that fund doesn't receive taxes and its ability to, it doesn't have the same ability to establish reserves as the A fund does. So we had talked about taking a look at that and maybe evaluating that fund balance policy, but I don't think there was a concern about the budget itself. Right, Rich? Is that kind of our conversation?
Yeah. Because the fund balance range on that fund is like 25 to 40 or something.
25 to 35. Yep.
And now it's at 76.
Mm-hmm.
So why do we have a range if it's double what the range is?
No, Blixie mentioned that you had that conversation. I think it's a great one. And I said, I think that sounds like an awesome conversation for the finance committee to talk about in November, because when it ultimately should be updated is in January. But I think, because I think you're absolutely right. What's the point of having a policy? And if you're not going to stick with it, but the policy, I think in this case, really should be amended to reflect the practical realities that we can't create reserves. And yet we know we'll have known expenses that we're setting money aside for effectively on a temporary basis. So it's perfectly legal to keep money there.
Right.
We should just acknowledge that we're doing it in the policy. Yeah. It's prudent. It's prudent to hold it when you know you're going to be spending it, but just not in this current year budget. We have no place else to keep it. I think it's great.
So you're okay I mean, that's
Yeah,
a policy
yeah.
change. That's just a discussion.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this would be resolved to accept the preliminary budget as presented. Actually, so there's a date change presented on 10. The resolution should say 10/14 in their first resolved. As presented tonight, and then with the increase, the levy increases and tax rate increases and decrease, as the case may be. Just for the public's edification, the reason that there's a difference between what a village resident pays in town taxes and a town resident pays in town taxes is because town outside village residents pay for fire and EMS ambulance services in their town taxes, while village residents pay for them in their village taxes. So there's a differentiation in that. So it's not because we're not giving a decrease to the village for one reason and an increase to the town outside, small increase for the town outside village for another reason. It's because you're paying for the same services. You're just paying for them in your principal municipality. Yep, and then this will schedule the public hearing for Tuesday, October 28th at 7 PM to hear members, public comments. So I will move that. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you. Any further discussion on establishing the preliminary budget? And so if the public was watching before about, just as a comment on this, if the public was watching before, we did hold a hearing in August about, that would to take public feedback on overriding the tax levy. We do not need to override the tax levy, so that there's no action we'll be taking associated with that. This budget does come
The
in.
tax cap.
I'm sorry,
Right.
the tax cap. There is a tax levy. It will be under the tax cap. And so therefore we don't need to override it by local law. So thanks, Blixie. So if there are no further comments, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, passes unanimously. Thank you. Move to a public hearing. We now have a preliminary budget, which is great. Okay.
So
Moving-
did you need me for anything else, Caitlin, this evening?
Would you mind sticking around just for the very next one, just in case, very quickly? there's anything
Absolutely.
For you?
Whatever you need me for, I can hang out for.
It's just it's the Bridge New York contract. I was just gonna go over stuff related to it.
Okay.
So the next item up is our Bridge New York Maplewood Culvert contract for engineering. There is a resolution that was prepared by Nate. It's on the website, but it's also this one in case you want to look at it. So you'll recall a few years ago now, we went out and RFP'd and went through a bid process to select Barton LaJudas for our engineer for a Bridge New York project for the Curry Road Bridge. And they are, fingers, all things being crossed, we finally got back final comments, the second round of design comments from Department of Transportation late last week. So the Barton LaJudas thinks that they will be able to take us to bid in January with the intention of being able to do construction next summer. The reason it's January is because November would be a hard lift, and then you hit the holidays and nobody wants to respond to anything, so you might as well release it in January and just do it in January. Because contractors are also not interested in December, late December. So so that's the plan on there. What I'm bringing to you tonight is an agreement to go ahead with engineering services from Barton LaJudas for our next Bridge New York grant, which is for Maplewood, the Maplewood Road Culvert. And I've vetted this with Nate. It's perfectly within our procurement policy to be able to go to hire them through professional services. For any number of reasons, I think it makes logical sense just to continue with them. They've been working directly with the DOT and working through the Bridge New York portal process and the complications that come along with that source of funding. I think they've done a good job for us. The comments they've gotten back from DOT have not been substantial. They're minor tweaks. The delay has nothing to do with our engineering firm and everything to do with New York State DOT Region 3, who we love very much if you're listening, but would love for you to move our project through a little bit faster. You're holding everybody up. It takes a lot of time to go through a bid process. We went through a legitimate bid process to get Barton LaJudas in the first place. It's of and, you know, if Carissa wants to pipe in, it's not an insignificant amount of staff time to go through, another bid process for engineering services, which may or may not result in the exact same selection of candidates as we've already have. So I'd like to move forward with just hiring them to do it. So that's my recommendation. That's what I brought to the board. So if we wanted to have a conversation, definitely do it. It's not in violation of the contract either. I had Nate vet the contract with, because sometimes grant contracts do require a specific bid process, and this one does not. So, thoughts, feelings, emotions?
How much is it for?
This one is, I've got it open. It's in the contract. Hold on, where is it? Great question. I don't have the number. Lexi, do you have the number on top right now?
I don't. Sorry.
Maximum payable amount is $170,000.
That's not subject to bid.
Let me double check. Here, I'm gonna go through it. It was posted. So. It's not subject to bid because it's professional services and, you know, you have the right, it's the same way with, we went out to. A good example is legal services, right? We took an RFP out to find, if anybody else wants to look at this is a full packet. I only printed one because it's large. We got our current firm, by going out to, sending out an RFP. And then we just selected who we wanted from the list. We didn't have to, and then every year to year, we're under contract with them. We haven't changed engineering services, general engineering for the town in over a decade without taking it to bid. So no, there's no.
I'm trying to scan through this, Caitlin, myself right now, and
It's on the very last
Yeah.
page. It's all broken out. It's $170,000. Technical, salaries, is a maximum of 51,000, 869. Direct non-salary cost is estimated at $1,566. Sub-consultant costs, $9,200. Overhead, 88, 696. And then the fixed fees that are broken out are 18,300. Their estimated cost, is, $169,600 with a maximum payment amount of 170.
And this is the same scope of work we currently have with them,
Effectively, yeah,
just different road.
different. Well, this is a culvert, not a bridge.
True.
It has different features of it. This is a rehabilitation, over a tributary, which, I mean, obviously, if it's a culvert, it's over water to some degree, right? But, yeah, it's generally the same kind of work. So. And the town is limited by having to hire off a particular list that New York State produces about which, not like, if I started my own engineering firm, you couldn't hire me even if it wasn't town supervisor. So like, you actually have to be qualified and, on a certain list from New York State. So it's already a narrowed down list of engineering firms that can provide this consultation. So, but if the board doesn't want to move forward, we can go through a process. We finally, we got approval for the money over a year ago and we just got the contract paperwork and then it hasn't even been finalized. I brought you the final contract on this project. No, that's not true. It's Garrett Road I haven't brought you. Maplewood I have. We signed Maplewood in July-ish. It's Maplewood, not Garrett. It's Garrett that I was thinking of. Maplewood, we signed in July. We haven't gotten the executed copy back, but we were told that we would get it within 30 days, like last 2 weeks ago. So, but we are in the period of time where we can start charging. We've gotten the go ahead from the Bridge New York program to be able to start expending money associated with this. And so this would allow us to start directly going into design. I think we can take it out to bid. We can certainly do that if the board wants. It'll put us a few months behind. And just depending on how that, it could look like, it may, I'm not guaranteeing this, it may push to another calendar year in terms of construction. So the goal would be to get design done next year with construction the following year, but we were a whole year behind because of DOT with Curry Road. So I'm hoping not to be 2 years behind. So. Thoughts?
I mean, we have the requirement to do the 3 for other types of services, but you're saying professional services are kind of exempt from the policy that we currently have?
Well, I mean, we have a standard procurement policy. It's not required. What the New York limitations New York State puts on do not require it. So.
And the DOT, Nate looked at the contract with the DOT, and we don't have to go out to bid through that either.
No, I would definitely not bring you something. We had him vet it. And he's the one who put together the resolution for this very reason that I wanted to make sure that it was all legally clean as a whistle.
And this is a full match, like we pay and then DOT funds everything. I can't remember what this.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to it's a financial, it's 500 and some odd. I can't remember how much it is. Let's see.
Well, this is 100% reimbursement grant up to the amount that was approved in the contract. So if we were to exceed it for some reason, then we would have to, until we go out to bid, we don't really know what the cost is going to be, right? So
170,000 is part of the reimbursement.
Yes.
If
correct,
it's reimbursed, then why wouldn't we do it?
right.
We're not putting any outlay of money.
But
No,
the bridge,
but if for some reason construction comes back at 700,000, then whatever the difference is we're paying, but
This,
I'm not,
this is a rehabilitation versus a
Yeah.
full scale replacement. So
Right.
that's why it's the overall project is cheaper, but the engineering probably is more work because a lot of the engineering associated with a full scale replacement is these are now just like done in segments and put in place. Not to say that there's not engineering involved in that, but they're like pre-cast pieces and they now have standard designs. A rehabilitation does require more work because we have to work with the existing structure. It's the same way historic house rehabilitation is frequently more expensive than stick build new. So,
I don't see the downside.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
okay.
I'm not concerned.
Michael, did you have thoughts?
Nope, it's fine.
Okie dokie. I appreciate it.
We need a resolution.
So this is the resolution, so I can read it quickly. Whereas in connection with the federal aid project funded through New York State Department of Transportation, known as a rehabilitation of the Maplewood Road culvert over a tributary of Cayuga Lake, the town of Ulysses requires the services of a consultant to design and otherwise provide the services as described in attachment B annexed to the architectural engineering consultant agreement attached here too. What he's talking about is actually the contract. That's in the contract. So that's what he's referring to in that. Whereas Barton LaJudas, DPC has previously worked with the town regarding a similar project and as such is familiar with the federal and state requirements pertaining to the project. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Ulysses hereby authorizes the town supervisor Caitlin Olson to execute the certain architectural engineering consultant agreement with Barton LaJudas, DPC for services related to the project, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. So I was referring to this contract, not the DOT. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
We did not need a roll call on this, but he likes to put all of our names down because we have awesome names. Or for some other reason. Lacey, I think that is it. Thank you so much for being here for that. I appreciate it.
Have a
Okay,
good evening.
thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks, Bixby.
Okay, so, Smithwood's donation is not, we're not accepting it. I should preface this by saying, we're not accepting a donation tonight. We are talking about the donation agreement, that, we had appointed, the board had appointed, Rich and Liz to spearhead, that process of, putting together a, property donation agreement, with PRI, who's the donors of the land. And that is what you have before you tonight and what the public has. I had, so we can talk about that. We want to talk about that. We also, if we're ready to, we can start reviewing part one of the short environmental assessment form. And then Nate reviewed this, and there are no other interested agencies that we would need to send anything to. So tonight we could schedule I think it'd be I want to hear from the public, so I'd like to schedule a public hearing, wait for it, on October 28th. It's gonna be public hearing night at the town. I'd like to hear from the public their thoughts on accepting the donation. In this particular case, it's not required, but I think a good idea. So the town board could ultimately decide on the 28th to accept the donation agreement and trigger the process to transfer ownership. So, but let's start with the donation agreement. Liz and Rich, is there anything you'd like to particularly flag in the document?
I don't think so. I think it's pretty straightforward. Nate reviewed it.
Nate put it together. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we went back and forth once with PRI. Only to clarify who owned
Yeah, it's a little bit confusing, the name.
PRI or Cuba Nature Center,
Yeah.
but no, it's pretty straightforward. The PRI did vote. I can say that. Yeah.
Mhm.
PRI did vote to accept this. So they voted unanimously on their side. That's why it's back in front of the town board now. So we have their full support.
I think it's probably in the context of this, I've had conversations with the current owners. I've had conversations with, Scott as the head of the DPW. This has been a property that's been very lightly touched. And would continue to be lightly touched based on the deed. There are many deed restrictions for this property, right? Trees should only be taken down if they're posing, they're, endangering people. Otherwise, the property's meant to be kept as in its natural state as possible, with some minor, allowances of trails to experience it, and some very minor, educational components. I talked to both the donors and to Scott about like ongoing maintenance costs associated with it, because I think that's an important part of understanding, what kind of financial responsibility the town would be taking on. The town, and I don't know if the public generally knows this, but the town has already been taking care of the trees along the fence line, because they can encroach on public right of ways and walking spaces. So that's something the town has already been doing that you have not noticed a significant cost associated with. That's something our DPW crew just already takes care of. The fence that's installed, there is a quote out for a roughly less than $4,000 for repairs that could be done by the company who installed it. In having conversations, it seems like their repairs also our DPW could effectively do as well. So that, the need to immediately pay an additional fee associated with that. There will be, we would anticipate there being an increase in our insurance components. Because it's a passive use facility, the estimates we got associated with having a parcel like this are about $1,000 a year. So there may be some, that we will anticipate a bump in insurance eventually when on closing. So there is that to consider. It's not generating taxes now. It won't generate tax, obviously, as a town-owned property, it wouldn't generate taxes there either. So there's no financial loss associated with tax revenue by going back into public ownership. It has been maintained internally largely by volunteers and many people already associated with our tree committee. And my understanding is they would continue to have interest in doing that as well. That's not a permanent long-term thing necessarily, but I think they would be very useful in helping develop a long-term maintenance plan for it. It's just, it happens to be a very, it's a unique natural resource that we have here. And by deed, it's never going to really be anything other than what it is, which is a wonderful space, but it's it has no development potential. It doesn't have any sizable change coming. Maybe some signage would be what would change. So any thoughts or comments about this?
Would it be surveyed?
They have a survey already, so we have a functional, the intention I think would be to use the survey that.
They probably surveyed it when they gave it to PRI.
Well, it says Dudleston, which it was sold to. Grassroots.
Oh, yeah, there's that part of it.
No, in the survey description. It's just curious if generally there's updated in case anything moves. Just curious.
I had not ordered a survey. I can order a survey. I mean, that'll cost about, I don't know, somewhere in the range of $1,500 to do a survey. I can ask Nate if that's recommended. That's something I can order on my own if you want me to check with him. He did not flag that as needing a survey. But
Yeah, you
I'm
can
happy
do
to
that.
ask. Sure.
And just ask him about the Dudleston.
Yeah. I think that's pulled directly from the legal language on file for it. So this was not new created language, it's the existing.
We do need to vote on anything. Is it?
Well,
This is resolution.
yeah, we do have a resolution. Before we do that, I wanted to see if there were any questions on that. I'm happy to flag Nate on the survey portion. Are there anything else on the property donation agreement component? Okay. Then we can move on to the short form assessment form. We're not taking any final action on environmental review tonight. We'd complete parts 2 and 3 if the board so desires on October 28th. 32 acres. This refers to ownership. I mean, we could go item by item if anybody has any questions, or we can just review it while we're here. It does not involve a plan, a local law, ordinance, administrative rule or regulation, so that's a no. It does not require permit approval or funding from another government agency, so that's a no. Total acres is 32 acres. Check all land uses that occur on or adjoining or near the proposed action. We've got commercial, residential, and other. There's a other being cemetery. It's a proposed action permitted under zoning regulations. It's a park. It's not changing its zoning. It already is that. So it's not a change in zoning. Marked yes, that it's consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan. Is the proposed action consistent with the predominant character of the existing built or natural landscape? Again, changing ownership doesn't change any of that. So the answer is yes. Is the site of proposed action located in or does it adjoin a state listed critical environmental area? No, it does not. Will the proposed action result in substantial increase in traffic above present levels? No. Public transportation services available or near the site of the proposed action? In fact, yes, they are. We will change that. There is a bus stop by there. Are any pedestrian accommodations or bicycle routes available on or near the site of the proposed action?
There's a sidewalk. I mean, what's pedestrian accommodations?
I think that seems, I'll change that to yes. Unless Liz, we're misreading that. Do you think we're misreading those?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Does the proposed action meet or exceed the state energy code requirements? It's really a not applicable.
Yeah.
But that's not an option, so. Will the proposed action connect to an existing public or private water supply? Nope. Will the proposed action connect to existing wastewater utilities? No. Does the site contain or is substantially contiguous to a building, archaeological site, or district which is listed on the National or State Register of Historic Places? And et cetera, and both of those are no. We're not aware of any sensitive archaeological sites located adjacent to it either. Does any portion of the site of the proposed land action or lands adjoining the proposed action contain wetlands or other water bodies regulated by federal, state, or local agency?
Search street.
Yeah, there's some wetland on it. So we put yes to be safe, but it doesn't encroach on any existing wetlands or water bodies. It does get pretty wet there. That lower area does get pretty wet. In wet seasons. Now is not a good example of wet.
Doesn't mean it's a wetland.
It does not mean it's a wetland. And maybe that's something that'll get changed. We could review that to see if that gets changed before the final adoption. Identify the typical habitat types that occur or like to be found on the project site. Forest. Does the proposed action contain any species of animal or associated habitats listed by the state or federal government as threatened or endangered? We are not aware of any. So we marked no. It's not located on 100-year floodplain. So
It's spelled.
flood plan, that is, but that was not us.
No, it's the form.
It's the form.
just
It's
noticed
not in a 100-year flood plan either. I just fixed it with my eyes. Will the proposed action create stormwater discharge either from point or non-point sources? Not to the best of our knowledge. Does the proposed action include construction or other activities of any kind that result in impoundment of water? No, it does not. No construction is associated with this project. Has the site of the proposed action or an adjoining property been the location of an active or closed solid waste management facility? Certainly hope not. So that's no. Has the site of the proposed action or an adjoining property been the subject of remediation for hazardous waste? And no. So that is so the question is, do we want to leave the wetlands regulated by federal, state, or local agency? Right now it's marked yes. Do we want to double check that quickly? I know it's been wet. But
Do we have a wetlands map or?
so that's a interesting question, Mary. The answer is New York State is like, we don't know if we can trust any of these maps, so just delineate every project as it comes along. So
Yeah. They're putting the onus on the landowner now, as opposed to having maps that are 70 or from the 70s and 60s, so they're quite old and a lot of changes have
Yeah.
happened.
I'm putting you on the spot to look that
No,
up. I'm sorry.
I just am hoping I can read it on my phone and not just. Everyone's resource.
Excuse me.
There is an area that's highlighted as potentially wetland, but needs
Delineation.
delineation.
There you go. So let's
And a
keep it as yeah.
or, yeah, jurisdictional determination. It's not a federal designated wetland, but it's an area that's been mapped by the DC as potential. So we can just be conservative, and I don't think there's necessarily an impact. We're not making any changes.
No.
The issue would be if we ever have to do work in there, we might need to look at some general permits and get a delineation just to be sure we're not going against any state rules, but for right now,
Changing ownership won't affect that though.
I don't think changing ownership, no, I mean, we're not doing anything right now.
No. Be hard pressed to believe that anybody will do anything in the future either. Okay.
Yeah, really, I mean.
Pretty much what it is.
not
As a
gonna
wonderful
build
little.
anything there.
Nope.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so we'll leave that as is. Thank you for double checking that. Did anybody, I did alter in questions, 8B and C. There are public transportation, not services, not at, but near. I would consider it's near enough to 96 where you can just, which is literally adjacent to the one edge of it. So we're gonna change it to that. Okay, so let's move on to the scheduling of the public hearing and classifying the donation of Smith Woods as an action as unlisted, and that refers to the short form that we just went through. So I'm just gonna read this, so we're all on the same page and the public's on the same page. Whereas on June 10th, 2025, the Paleontological Research Institute, PRI, presented to the town board of the town of Ulysses regarding potential donation of the property owned by them and known as Smith Woods to the town of Ulysses. Whereas the town board at that meeting authorized town board members Elizabeth Weatherby and Rich Goldman to gather the ad hoc committee to represent the town in negotiations with PRI regarding potential donation. And whereas PRI and the ad hoc committee have prepared and presented a donation agreement for Smith Woods to the town of Ulysses in the form attached hereto as Exhibit A. And whereas the town board desires to hold a public hearing with respect to accepting the donation of Smith Woods as outlined in the donation agreement. And whereas the town board also desires to preliminarily classify said donations for purposes of environmental review, now therefore be it resolved that a public hearing shall be held by the town board of the town of Ulysses on October 28th, 2025 at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter as may be heard with respect to the acceptance of Smith Woods as provided for in the donation agreement, and be it further resolved that 1, the action for purposes of state environmental quality review is an unlisted action. 2, the town board has identified no other potential involved agencies. And 3, the town board may proceed with an uncoordinated review of this action. And it is further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause public notice of said hearing to be given as provided by law. And it is further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. So I will move this. Is there a second for purposes of discussion? Is there any discussion?
Nope.
Great. Well, extend my thank you to Rich and Liz for representing us, and I will call for a vote. All of those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay, let me move on my papers around before we move on to the next item. Okay. A few months ago, we appointed Jonathan Ferrari to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a term ending December 31st, 2026. And we happened to do that right before he went out of town for 3.5 weeks because it was in the middle of the summer and he goes to the Adirondacks. And there is a rule, a law, in fact, I think it is a state law that requires you have to be sworn in within 30 days of appointment, and he was not located here. And so I'm bringing him back for reappointment so he can get sworn in on the appropriate timeline. So I'm gonna make a motion to appoint Jonathan Ferrari. So resolved that the Ulysses Town Board appoints the following person to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a term ending December 31st, 2026, and the person is Jonathan Ferrari, architect. Is there a second? Second. Thank you. All those in favor? Aye, thank you. Okie dokie. Next up is, I'm very excited about this one. Is a request to do a speed reduction. I think Mr. Sutcliffe is on, oh, there he's waving. If you want to come off mute, I would love to include you in the conversation. He and Kathleen Overbach circulated a petition. I was able to talk to some of the residents this summer on the process for doing it, and I said, all you need to do is get your neighbors to sign on, because I talked to a number of folks on that road and who had a lot of concerns about the speed. Is there anything in particular you'd like to tell us about your petition and the concerns of the neighbors on Waterberg? Can you have them unmute? Maybe? Can't hear you yet. Let's see.
There you go. Now you hear me?
Yes, I think we can. Yes,
Good. Oh,
great.
good. Yeah, without exception, everyone on Waterberg Road that we met with was enthusiastic about this. There's only one resident that wasn't at home that we couldn't talk to, and they all gladly signed the petition. And I've been living on this road for 40 years, and just people are driving like nuts these days on Waterberg Road. And we had someone killed 3 years ago because he was speeding to hit a deer on my property. And it's just high time that we change the speed limit, in my opinion. And 28 other people that signed the petition.
That affirms what I was hearing from your neighbors, so I appreciate that. I thank you for taking the time to put it together,
my
because that's
pleasure.
not an insignificant amount of time also. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
So I put together a resolution the process is that we ran it by Scott Stewart as highway superintendent. Scott is on record as saying he would love to see every road in town lowered. He does not think 55 is an appropriate town speed on a non-state highway. So I don't, so he was thoroughly in support of this. And so it would be requesting that it goes to the county next, or the process is it would go to the county next for review. And this is for lowering it between the intersections of Podunk and Indian Fort Road. And then the county has been supportive of every petition we've sent. So I would hope that they would be equally supportive of this one. And yeah, that is, wait a minute.
Yeah, I don't know where it is.
I haven't seen it.
No, it was in the one that I sent earlier today. Got redone earlier today. Hold on, let me pull it up and I will read it. No, I sent a new version earlier today and I must just not have made it in. So let me just grab it. I will just read it out loud. I'll send you the. Okay, whereas Falls Road, or I'm sorry, whereas Waterberg Road is a town road located within the town of Ulysses, and whereas the residents have requested a speed study, and whereas the Ulysses Highway Superintendent has reviewed the road conditions and supports a speed study and a speed reduction contingent on enforcement. And whereas section 1622 of the New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law establishes the law regarding speed limits on town highways, and whereas this law states that the Department of Transportation, upon the request of the county superintendent of highways of a county and the town board of the town affected with respect to town highways in such town outside of cities and villages, may, by order, rule, or regulations, establish maximum speed limits at which vehicles may proceed on or along such highways higher or lower than The 55 miles per hour statutory maximum speed limit. No such limits shall be established at less than 25 miles per hour, except that school speed limits may be established at not less than 15 miles per hour. 2, establish maximum speed limits at which vehicles may proceed on or along all such highways lying within the areas designated by description of the boundaries of such areas submitted by the county superintendent of highways of a county and the town board of the town, effective lower than 55 miles per hour statutory maximum speed limit. No such limits shall be established at less than 30 miles per hour. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Ulysses supports the request for a speed control investigation by New York State DOT to determine if the speed limit for Waterberg Road from Podunk Road to Indian Fort Road for the safety of residents, drivers, bicyclists, pedestrians. And further resolved that the town board directs the town clerk to submit a certified copy of this resolution to the Tompkins County Highway Superintendent, requesting that they accept and submit our request to the DOT, New York State DOT. So that's the resolution. Is there, I'll move that. Is there a second? Any further discussion?
When you open that, did you say that it was a town road?
It is,
County.
but it's in the town. It's not a town-owned road, but we
It's
are
got-
allowed to.
It's got a numbered designation. It's County Road 136.
Yeah. Up in the county.
We are allowed to ask for them in a town. Let me see how that looks.
Yeah, we can ask.
So it's just, yeah, so it's just,
County Road 136.
yep, hold on. I'll just change that one resolution. Thank you. That I'll make a county road, a Tompkins County road. Well, that's a friendly amendment on my end, or friendly, it's, to me, that's a friendly amendment. Do we have a second on that? Thank you. Any further discussion? No. All those in favor? Aye. Chris, I'm sending this revised draft to you right now. Great. So thank you so much to you and to your neighbors who signed on. We will send this out to the county, who then will take, I would assume they will, support it and send it out. That would be my assumption, that they'll send it out to New York DOT. And then our return time on these has typically been somewhere in the range of like 18 months, which is a long time, I understand. They do the analysis over usually a 6-month window. And so that has to get scheduled and endured, but I appreciate you taking this important step towards doing that. And we'll keep you updated as soon as we hear anything, but you can always feel free to check in also.
Thank you so much. It's nice.
Thank you
dealing
for your
with
time.
Thanks,
We
Scott.
appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Great, okay. Moving right along. Next up is re-levying delinquent water bills. This is for districts 3 and 4. Krista, this is our sadly oldie but goodie every year in September, in October. Anything you'd like to point out about this one?
There were no delinquent bills in Water District 4, so it's just Water
So
District.
we can change that title. Okay, good job, Water District 4.
What's the total?
$1,522.14.
Is that more or less than last year?
It's about on par.
It's the same users.
Yeah, good portion.
Is this the first levy, first delinquent are there more of these particular properties? Whether they're repeat offenders?
It seems like it's some people seem to maybe pay their water bills this way,
Yeah.
is on their taxes. So their go-to method. But we do get, we get made whole
Yeah.
in
Is there
January.
an additional fee that gets
They
added if they do this way?
if the bill isn't paid in 30 days, 10% penalty is added, but it never increases, that's it. So 3/4 of 10% penalty on each quarterly water bill, and that's it.
And that's that's established by law, right? On the water.
It's the 10% is by town board resolution, so that can be changed. If I wanted to.
Okay.
I mean, that's a pretty high
It
penalty.
gets approved
Yeah.
on our fee schedule.
Yeah, I just was curious. Like if it's a one-time deal or if it's a quarterly accrual.
That's how it is with the village. But you know, if you pay your bill like a week late,
You get
it's
it.
a $200 bill, you got a $20 penalty. you know?
Yeah.
I have a 12-foot shallow well, so I'm not paying those, but it's, but I do pay my NYSEG bill on time for those reasons.
They shut you off
Yes, they will.
very quickly.
We do not shut up.
Okay.
Okay, so, I'll move this resolution.
So
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then, a town cleaner position. So and I'll pass this to Krista to explain too if I mess up on it. We've been paying outside vendors, to clean town hall. And this actually is not insignificantly hard because unless you hire a single owner operator to do the work, they have to go through a process of prevailing wage. And they actually have to remit their record books, am I correct in that? And for documentation purposes, and there's auditing components about it, and it's so, Krista, was you, I think you're the one, did you broach this about just creating a position?
It's been a while since we've kind of, looked at this and, just tried to update the contract, so, we want to do that, and just in talking with Lexi, we determined that we'd like to try and see if we can just find someone that we can put on staff in the position, and, be a little easier.
how many hours a week?
What's that?
How many hours a week?
We're thinking about 6.
Twice a week cleaning,
Once a week.
once a week?
Yep.
Is that,
It'll be on par or maybe less than what has already been budgeted or what it's.
Does that include like, you know, social security and retirement, all of that? Benefits?
I believe so, yeah.
We're currently paying 400 a month. Is that right? 600 a month.
125 a week. So what is the hourly rate?
22.
Is that? a
do we have to
going
provide
kind of-
benefits for 6 hours a week? I don't know what the requirements are for.
Well, you do have
There's
to pay
some
social
benefits.
security
You have to
Yeah.
pay
Yeah.
taxes.
and Medicare, so that's
8.7.
7.62%.
Okay.
And then they have to sign up for your state retirement.
We don't have to.
I think they have,
We have
don't
to.
they?
Our YEP employees don't, it's optional. Most of them choose to though.
Might as well with their age.
Mhm. But I don't know for somebody else.
And there's probably like disability, that's not very much though. And somebody's only working 6 hours a week, so I don't know that there'd be any other
And so-
benefits.
It certainly doesn't trigger health care or anything like that.
And we're paying, what, 125 a week?
22 an hour seems low. No,
Well, that would be more than,
Lexi said that's
$100 a
what
week.
they're, we got that number because that's what, they're doing in another town. That's what Lexi recommended as kind of a placeholder for now.
And there's a
We can, you know, if we
3%
can't find anyone,
increase.
we can discuss.
in 2 months.
You're right. If you hire like a residential cleaner,
If
you're
you-
gonna spend.
We hire, I mean, if you hire a cleaner for your house, it's more, I'm sure everyone's paying more than $22 an hour. No, I.
I clean my own house.
Yeah.
What about supplies? Do we provide the supplies to?
Yeah,
you?
if we're the employer, we provide the supply.
Yeah.
No, but
yeah.
I'm just, is it 600 and they provide supplies or,
Yeah. You mean
It's
currently?
kind of a combo. They bring some, we provide some.
I mean, are we have to buy a polisher and a
We already have
vacuum?
one.
and-
We have a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
And is the current people cleaning, they don't wanna do it anymore?
It's just time to
Time.
negotiate.
I just don't think you're gonna get a lot of takers for 22 an hour in this environment.
Well, I don't think we're gonna renegotiate until we have an option.
There's
So-
more than one person. I've been here on Saturday mornings when they've come and
Mhm.
it's more than one person.
But yeah, they don't stay 6 hours either, so much
Oh.
shorter duration. We assumed it was about six man hours, person hours.
You could try, I don't know, see what you get.
I don't think it hurts anything to try and,
I mean, it's just gonna have to go out through
What?
cause the open, geez, New York
Civil
State,
service?
like, yeah,
yes,
thank you.
it'll be.
Is that a
posted.
civil service job?
It's civil service exempt. I mean, we have to do
Oh.
the hiring through that portal, but it's not a,
You don't have to take a.
there's no
test
test.
I
to-
don't think you're gonna find a good person for under 30.
Yeah, I mean, the lower the pay,
I mean,
you might end up with somebody who's
not
not
very
very
good.
good.
Or a high school kid or somebody.
I don't know.
So would you wanna go back and look at the rate? Or would you wanna see if we get
I
any
know.
candidates?
It doesn't hurt to try, but you know, when would you want this person to start?
Do we have a contract with the current cleaner
It's ongoing.
on monthly, whatever?
Yeah. I mean, there's no rush, but just be nice to get it going.
Really?
Well, how about we try it at this and if in X period of time, we put it out and in 30 days, nobody seems interested that we're interested in hiring, then we can readjust the amount. Or consider other options and,
I'm fine with that.
okay. So I'll move to approve the resolution as presented. Is there a second?
Yep.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. And we actually do not need to go into executive session. I thought I was going to have an update, but everything's just kind of the same place we were last time we talked about zoning. So we can skip that. And upcoming events, our next regular meeting is October 28th. And then please remember that we moved the November 11th meeting, because that's Veterans Day, to the 12th, which is a Wednesday. So we'll be here on Wednesday evening, the 12th, and then we'll go back to our regular Tuesday, fourth Tuesday of Thanksgiving week on the 25th. We had meeting minutes.
Couple of them.
Yep. And would you mind telling us that I don't want to mess up the dates associated with them.
9/10 special meeting, it's a budget meeting, the 9/11 special meeting for EMS. 9/17 special meeting, it's a budget meeting, and the 9/23 regular meeting.
Okay. Did anybody have any alterations that they needed to have made in those minutes? I didn't see anything.
It's good.
Great. So a motion to approve the minutes as presented. I'll make that. Is there a second?
Okay, second.
Sorry. My stage directions have deteriorated tonight, sorry. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, I do not have any board notifications. We do have budget modifications. I pass those around. I'll walk you through them. And, okay, so, the first one's an A fund. This budget adjustment reflects the use of contingency of, to fund the cost of engineering study and grant application for the Agard Road culvert. Plus additional services to assist the, with the DEC WQIP contract for the Garrett Road Culvert Grant Award. So those are things that all got approved and we're just moving money around, from the contingency in that line, or contingency in A fund, to engineering contractual. And increasing $23,000 in one and decreasing the other. And then also in A fund records management, this budget adjustment reallocates budget funds from central communications where there's anticipated savings to records management where costs have exceeded our budget estimates. It's a $500 movement. And then highway capital improvements. This budget modification reflects the additional spending and revenue related to the highway improvements that are funded through New York State highway aid. So we spent some more and got more, balancing out the money we receive, money we spend. Any questions about any of these? Blixie likes nice round numbers, so that's what you're gonna see in budget mods. I'm also a fan of them.
Makes it easy.
Yeah, I always got a kick out of 12-cent
Yeah.
budget increase.
Big
Not
deal.
Blixie, she likes nice, lots of zeros. Okay, accept a motion to approve the budget modifications as presented. Thank you. Second,
Second.
thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then that brings us to payment of claims. I have one at least I know I need to sign still, maybe two. Anybody have any questions about these?
No.
Then thank you to Carissa for putting these together. I'll read the resolution. Resolved that Ulysses Town Board approves payment of claims number 473 to 517 in the amount of $180,237.39. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, I believe that brings us back full circle to privilege of the floor. Is there anybody in person who wishes to address this board? I would say thank you for being here tonight. I see we still have a couple of members of the public online. Is there anybody online who wishes to address the town board? Was that a yes or a no? I'm sorry, I looked away and I saw a head moving.
Oh, yes. Hi
Yes.
there. My name is JT Stone. I'm a reporter for Tompkins Weekly, and I was just curious, now that the preliminary budget has passed, I'm just curious when that'll become publicly available.
The budget is online currently. It is publicly available right now.
Okay, on the
Uh,
town website.
Yep, let me pull it up for you. Where is it? Or it was up before.
It's on the town council and then budgets page.
Town council.
I'll have to change it to preliminary.
Yep, so if you go to the top of our homepage, you'll see town council, and then if you click on that, over in the right-hand side, budget is there. And you can click on the 2026 tentative budget. It just became the preliminary budget tonight. So it'll be also a part of our board packet, and there will be, when you go back to our main page, after Carissa puts together the public hearing notification, it'll actually just be on our left side, and you can just go to public hearing and you'll see it'll be posted right there as well.
Oh, terrific. So I'm sorry, I'm on the town council webpage, and where on that webpage is it again? I'm sorry.
So town council, go over to this section, right? I don't know if you can see it, but on your far right side, it says budget.
Oh, okay.
Click on that. And it will
Oh.
take you. It's probably not super helpful to see my screen, but that blob over there, and then you should be able to see it says 2026 tentative budget.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yes. Something you would find in the what's now the preliminary budget is money to update our website in 2026. For this very reason, thank you for being a demonstration model. Anywho, any other public comments or questions? Okay, well done.
Move to adjourn.
Second.